Hey guys, welcome to the show. This is hashtag paranormal. I'm your host, Tim Rose. Got some pretty good guests, I think, tonight. I have Megan and Josh from Finding Hidden Truths, and I have Miss Lydia Bell that's going to be on. She's been on the Holzer Files and has a long history of paranormal that's followed her around. Guys, if you're out there watching tonight, thank you for watching the show. If you're tuning in after it's recorded, thank you for watching. I have started a new team. I am no longer a part of Paranormal Connections. It all fell through. So we have started another team with some of the former teammates, and it is called Casper. And if you look for us on Facebook, let me find it. You will find this, and that is the logo for our new team. And if you want to follow us there and kind of get to know some of us, you can get on there, and we're all there. So reach out to us. And if you're experiencing anything in your home, we are getting ready to start home investigations. So if you need any help, reach out to us. The number's flashing across the bottom of the screen there. And I'm going to go ahead and bring in Megan and Josh.
I don't know if you should have brought
Hey,
us
guys.
in.
Hey, hi.
So I've been trying to get you guys on here for a while. I actually met Josh months ago when I was building a spirit portal. And we kind of learned some mistakes along the way, both of us.
We
I
did.
think we both ordered the wrong cords. We both ordered the wrong pedals. Did you finally get yours up and going?
Yeah, we got ours going really good. It's great. Love it.
I mean,
Yeah.
if our SB7 works.
Yeah, our SB7 stopped working, so we had to switch to a new thing.
Oh.
But yeah.
But once we switch that, it works great.
Yeah.
Which box are you guys using now?
So we have the SB7, a different one, but we now have the S box, right?
The S Box 2.
Yeah, S box 2.
So we're pretty pumped about that.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I like the S box. I like the S box a whole lot better myself.
Yeah.
And we really want to get the SB11 Pro.
Yeah.
Where it does it forward and backward at the same time. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, those are great. We used one of those several times and it works great. I really like it. So guys, you are based out of Indiana, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Grant
Tell
County.
us a little bit about you guys.
You go ahead.
Oh my gosh, don't make me do it. So Josh and I mean, we started it about a year ago. And really we just found each other by chance and we live like 5 minutes from each other. And so now we just go out and do the thing every weekend and
pretty much every weekend.
So, and it's really funny because Josh works weekends. And so he'll get off work, go investigate, leave early,
go right into work.
And I'm like, oh, I've just slept all day. It's fine.
Now, you guys, Indiana, it's full of haunted places. There's so many places there I want to go.
Yeah, there's quite a lot.
One of the main ones is the Indiana. Yeah, I guess it's the Indiana State Sanatorium. Is that the one that was the old geriatric place as well?
Yeah. That one's on our list.
Nursing homes.
Yet. Yeah.
Oh, you haven't been yet?
Not yet. That's on the list.
We've been to Randolph County. I've been to Randolph County several times. Josh has been once.
Yeah.
But we've also been to like Blackford County,
the
jail, Monroe House,
Asher Walton House, the Whispers Estate, and several other like smaller places. Some that are not really a haunted location per se that everyone knows about. Just a few that are some of our favorite personal things, but yeah.
If you guys get the chance, I would highly suggest you come here to Kentucky and go to Waverly.
We went to Waverly.
And it's funny that we drove 5 hours to go to Waverly, but we haven't made Indiana State.
Yeah, I know, right?
That one, I'm going to try to go there probably next spring to Indiana's, the sanatorium there. It's we are supposed to be going up to Mansfield Prison with another team in November, and I need to make sure that's still a go because it's a really bucket list place for me, and I'm dying to get up there.
I don't blame you. I want to go too.
Yeah.
So if you ever get any room, keep us.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If we end up going to the sanatorium there in Indiana, I may give you guys a shout too, and you can
absolutely,
we'll make that happen.
So, our team, we're fairly new now. We our old team was about 2 years old, but the team I'm with now, we just formed it, and we've done one investigation, and everyone seemed to work well together. So I think we're going to be headed in the right direction.
I mean,
so you guys,
I did follow your old team too. Paranormal Connections. I was actually on that podcast before things.
Oh, the one on Monday nights.
Yeah.
But
Things kind of went
been a
south
minute.
there, and it kind of fell through on us. So I just figured I would start a new team because I have got so much equipment sitting around that I've bought, and I just didn't want to sit around on that stuff.
You
Plus,
can never have too much. So yeah.
No.
It's actually funny when you had us backstage, we were like talking about all of the other equipment. Not that we have space for anything else, but we're like, ooh, we need this. We need this. I was like, Josh, do you think you can make this?
Tripwire. That's my biggest one. I love that thing. If you guys have one, they're awesome.
Not yet. Yeah.
So
they're a little
it's actually
pricey.
kinda cool. Sorry. We team up with another team. I Fear.
Yeah.
And they have a tripwire, and then they have the Epic box, and then we have the other things, and so we just kind of like really work well together. So, but they're from Ohio, so we don't get to do every investigation with them either.
So what gave you guys the bug that you wanted to start paranormal investigating?
You start first. Like, but
why?
Okay, well, fine. I'll start.
Okay.
So, I have a pretty decent sized TikTok channel of my own, just personal channel, and I was doing some like personal challenges for myself and just some cool videos. And one of the things I was doing was this like once a month challenge where I spin a wheel and I pick something and I just go do it. Whatever's on the wheel, I just go do it. And it was paranormal investigation. And I was like, well, that seems interesting. So I got on Facebook. I started kind of putting out there, hey, I'm looking for someone to go on an investigation with. Happened to run into Megan. And we got together. We did the Monroe house for my very first one. And it just became a thing. We loved it. It was fun. And she had already been doing it for a little bit before that.
I was going to say, I started back in 2023, and like my first real investigation was also the Monroe house, and it scared the stuff out of me. I was like, I don't know if I can say
it.
It scared the shit out of me, and I was like, oh my God, I'm hooked. Like I don't know if it was like the initial scare of it, of like not understanding it. Like I don't feel like I'm as scared about things. I know that sounds really funny, but I literally like I still do get scared sometimes.
Yeah.
Josh would make fun of me all the time. He actually recorded a video of me freaking out at Randolph County.
Running all the way out to the highway.
And he was like, I mean, and then like puts it on TikTok. And I was like, yes, because that's what people need to see, that I'm afraid.
So, guys, you said that you're from Indiana there. How far would you guys travel to go on an investigation?
I mean, so far the farthest was Waverly, and that's about 4.
That was 5 hours.
5 hours. It's about 5 hours. So I mean, I feel like if the time is right and the place is right, we're going anywhere.
And the reason I ask is the lady that actually invited us to go to Mansfield, she was actually looking to take about 10 people, and she only has 2. So that may be an option. I'll talk to her tonight or tomorrow, and I'll find out. And I'll let you guys. Because it's not that far for any of us. I mean, it's
right.
I think 4 hours for me, maybe 5 at the most.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's Shawshank. Everyone knows the place.
Yeah.
And it amazes me. Just the pictures of it alone amaze me.
Right. I definitely love the idea of going for sure. So just let us know, like, and we'll fit it into whatever schedule we need to fit it in.
I know it's in November, but I'm not sure the exact date. So I'll find that out tomorrow too, or later tonight. I'll let you guys know.
Sounds good.
Now, what's your guys' go-to piece of equipment?
Mine personally is the dowsing rods. I have never like I like all the flashy stuff, right? Like everybody loves to get the flashy stuff. But like it's weird because I feel so connected when they're using the dowsing rods that like
Mhm.
I feel like I'm honing in on like whoever is talking to me and like I feel them. So that's why I like the dowsing rods.
I don't know. I don't know if I have a favorite piece of
Yes, you
equipment.
do. It's the Nova.
It probably is my Nova.
Don't act crazy.
Nova, it's a I don't know if you know who Lauren Hans is.
I do.
Yeah. Her Nova is amazing. Microwave Doppler radar. That thing is so sensitive for movement. It is beautiful how that works. I love it.
Yeah, I hooked one of those up in a little music box, and you can literally twitch your finger, and it'll go off. It's so sensitive.
It's
So,
great.
Yeah.
I was gonna say we literally unboxed and like made a video just so we could use it at Blackford County Jail when we got it in the mail. Because we were like, well, we don't want to like not have an unboxing video, but at the same time, I was like, I want to use it so bad.
I'm kind of with you. I like the dowsing rods, but I also like a good old voice recorder. I mean, you pick up those EVPs when you're in a room alone, and there's just it's validation. Something happened. And
I struggle with that though, because I can't like hear it.
Yeah.
When I play it back, I'm like, did I hear anything?
I typically have to go after the investigation, put it on my computer, enhance the audio to the point that it's like ridiculously loud so
And
that
then
she can hear it.
Sorry, I didn't mean to steal your thunder. I just got real excited. Sorry.
And that's what I do a lot of times too. If I've recorded and we're someplace, I'll wait until I get home and I'll put it in the computer and put on headphones and crank it up and sit and listen and see what I've come across then. Because a lot of times you're right. When you're on an investigation, there's more than one person there. Mm-hmm. You're not really going to make out what it says. Same way with the spirit portals we made. A lot of times you almost need something to record those.
Yeah. There's a pedal I'm looking at. I'm gonna eventually probably get it. I'll have to send a link to you. There's a guitar pedal out there that records loops through that chain so that you can like loop your guitar sounds. I've been trying to think like maybe if I could like do something where in that moment I can click it and play it back, and so we could hear it looped. That would be really cool. So I don't know. That's something I'm going to toy with.
Yeah, that would be awesome because, like you say, a lot of times, man, that static is gone, but the reverb you can't. You have to sit and play with that thing and find the sweet spot.
And it seems like every location, that sweet spot's a little different.
Yeah, same with me. We used ours the weekend before last at Raw's Opera House here in Kentucky. It's in Cynthia.
Oh my gosh, I want to go there so bad. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. That actually part of the story about that place is the whole block that thing's on was burned during the Civil War. So they're not exactly sure who the ghosts are that's there, except for one. And there was a lawyer's office next door to the theater. And a guy either unalived himself or someone shot him. And he was in the theater for a while. And they say that he was kind of a menacing spirit, that he was kind of a hateful guy. And the guy that they think actually killed him passed away about 3 years ago, and they haven't seen him since. So I don't know if he's at peace now or he moved on after that guy passed away. But there's also a lady in white that's supposed to be there. So the theater was originally the front part of the movie. It's still an active movie theater, and they still do plays there as well. But they built on, and there's a section that they say they see a lady in white. Well, when we were there, they said that he was kind of a hateful guy. And they say that he was kind of a menacing spirit, that he was kind of a hateful guy. And when we were there, I was snapping pictures into the old part of the theater, and I actually got
I'd love to see.
her.
Oh, wow.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
That's pretty
And
awesome.
I have a video. I have a video of where we were doing the tour, and that picture is exactly as he described it. The long dress, the white ruffles up around the neck, the big
Yeah.
wide sleeves. So I'm pretty sure that's her.
That's incredible.
That is a really good catch.
And I had two cameras on that hallway that she was in. And I need to go through and see if I picked her up on those too. Because if I did, that's going to be awesome. So if you guys come to Kentucky, I would go. It's cheap to get in there. It's $60 to get through the door. That pays for that pays for two people, and the investigations are from 10 at night and until 8 the next morning. You can stay until 8 the next morning, so you're in there a while. And it's huge. It's a 3-story building. So I would hit it up if I were you guys and you're this way.
I'm definitely writing that down.
I was gonna say it's been on my list. It's just finding the time where I can make the drive.
Yeah.
With him working.
It's about an hour past Lexington. So I don't know how far that is for you guys, but it's about an hour past Lexington.
I think that makes it about 4 hours.
About 4.
What's the most haunted place you guys think you've been? The Monroe House?
Asher Walton.
Asher Walton. Yeah.
It's okay. So I do believe that every place that we have been is like relatively haunted. I don't mean it like that. Mm-hmm. But Asher Walton has been the most consistent that we have ever been at.
And it's just consistently active, consistently we can easily get back and forth type stuff there. It's great. I've got some pretty awesome video of doors opening by themselves. And then when we went back and set the camera up in the same place, we got the same door and the other door next to it opening at the same time. So it's like, when I can keep getting the same evidence over and over at the same place, great, awesome.
What's the most compelling piece of evidence you think you guys have gotten?
Ooh, the doors are pretty good. Man, I don't know. I'd say
you should have prepped me a little bit, because then I could have been like, what?
One of my favorites. It's over on our TikTok. We went to Whisper Estates. Is that where you're going? Oh, okay. Whisper Estates. Megan and I were sitting at a table, and it's up in the seance room.
That is a good one, though.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I could swear I could feel the table kind of move a little bit, and just there's almost like someone's walking around and the table's kind of vibrating or something. And so we put a motion, that app, the music box.
The music box. So the music box app, you can set it there, and it will detect EMF, it'll detect motion, it'll detect light. It's got and then it lights up which one that it's detecting.
Yeah.
And we had it sitting on the table, and it detected motion.
So it verified, we're feeling it. There's motion to the table. We told some other people about it. So everyone else came with us. We all sat around the table together, and everyone else started feeling the same thing. While we're all just talking and whatever, I had a body cam on me, and there's a moment where the table on camera physically shifts. You can see it shift. It is the coolest. It maybe only shifts about an inch, but there is a definite shift in it. And we all kind of jump back a little bit. Everyone's like, wait a minute, who just did that? It is so cool to get that actual motion, but then all the things leading up to it, all aligning together. That's probably one of my favorites that we've got. I don't know what yours.
What was cool about it though is that so we don't really mess with Ouija boards or whatever, but they had one on the table, and if you focus just watching that Ouija board, is how you can like really see the table
the motion
shift
in the table. Yeah.
because like the whole board moves and you're like, what?
Yeah.
No, so that is a really good one though. I really liked, so we were at Randolph County back in August. And Josh and I were on the first floor. We were with other people. But so on the first floor, the men's chapel, we were in this room, and all of a sudden we heard this really loud, it sounded almost like furniture moving.
Yeah, like dragging.
And it was so loud. We were like, what was that?
But the crazy thing with it is the floor actually vibrated. It felt like
the whole room shook.
The first thing I thought was that a car hit the side of the building. Like that was my first instinct. I'm looking at the windows and no, there was nothing. It just, the whole room shook for a second. I'm thinking maybe someone pushed a door open somewhere. Maybe someone did something, but there was just no one. Everyone was in the same room next door to us. Everyone's in the same area, but that room freaking shook.
Well, and so in that room, there's also like I want to say an altar, but that's not it. It's a podium kind of thing.
A pulpit.
And if you try to move it, it's on wheels. So it's not even like it could drag.
Yeah.
So like there's literally nothing in this room other than that and a mannequin in a wedding dress. Like that's the only thing in these rooms. And so you're just like, what could that have been?
And then her
I had Spirit Talker on.
Spirit Talker then said run and she took off.
Yeah. And that's where he made fun of me because I said no questions asked and I booked it out the door and he like recorded it and laughed at me the whole time.
And now it's on TikTok forever.
That's right, it is.
I mean, as long as I bring some joy to somebody, I'm good with it. So
now, if you guys
ROHS, sorry, God, I'm really gonna get better. Does it have a
fine.
crawl space?
You're fine. It does not have a crawl space. It has a basement that has an aquifer underneath of it, and what that aquifer is it's just like a big body of water that's naturally under the ground there, under limestone. And
wow. So yeah,
there's also there's a set of railroad tracks maybe 200 feet from the back door of the place. And when we went the last time, it was when the first hurricane was coming through Florida, and we had all that wind and storms. So we had a lot of energy in there that was just it was kind of crazy in there. I mean, I've got a couple more pictures that my daughter went with us on that investigation, and she's a little sensitive, and she was actually just snapping pictures of the stuff she thought she saw. And I have a shadow person, but I haven't uploaded it. And I have another full body apparition that was upstairs that she actually took, and she saw them with her visible eye. They were visible to her. And
so how old is your daughter?
She is 14. Yeah, she's 14. So she's just into her teenage years, and she's sensitive to stuff, and it kind of freaked her out a little bit. And I knew taking her there that there wasn't anything really negative in that place, because their claims are they have the lady in white, they have a couple of child spirits there, and so I knew there wasn't anything really bad there that was going to mess with her. So, and she had a good time. I was glad.
That's awesome.
I asked because his daughter is 15
and she's just starting to get
and we
into
have
this stuff.
Found it very hard to find places, at least around us, that lets anyone under the age of 16 in.
Yeah.
So that's why I wondered.
Yeah, they're pretty friendly with kids there. As long as they have a parent there or someone. Yeah. They make you sign a waiver, obviously, in case you get hurt, but they're not really strict on the age there. I know Waverly, you have to be 16 to get in there too, if I remember correctly.
But I can understand Waverly. I mean,
Yeah, Waverly's kind of dangerous. I mean, you can get hurt there really easy.
Yeah. Especially in the dark.
Yeah. Now, if you're looking for some places that are friendly to kids, Blue Collar Paranormal has several places here in Kentucky. He has one or two in Ohio, and he may have a property in Indiana too that he takes care of. And his daughter actually started investigating with him when she was like 12, and she actually runs she runs the business, but it's kind of a father-daughter team. So
That's so
you may
cool.
be able to get her in. You may be able to get her in some of those places.
Yeah, I'll write that down.
I was gonna say I've heard of Blue Collar Paranormal, but I haven't. I have never actually like talked to him or anything.
Yeah.
By the way,
They're really
Lydia
nice people.
says that there's something in the basement that is super negative.
Yeah, Lydia is sensitive too. She has some psychic abilities, so she kind of hones in
Gotcha.
on that stuff.
Just so you know.
Yeah, I was actually responding to her there, but it's never really bad there at Raw's. I mean, I obviously took my daughter. You got another ghost in there with you.
I don't know.
I mean, something just happened.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway.
So Josh actually has something here that he was like, I really need you to come over here and like cleanse my house. And this is really the first time I've been to his house since he had that conversation with me 2 months ago. So that's why I'm like, and so he has a 3D printed ghost trap from Ghostbusters sitting on this chair. And
it just moved.
Like the whole thing just moved.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, it's fine.
He just doesn't want to like.
I don't acknowledge it. It's fine.
So, it's kind of weird. Every time I do one of these podcasts, something in here will fall. Every single time, it never fails. And it kind of makes me wonder if where we're sitting here, I mean, it's pretty much an open portal what we're doing right now. Yeah, so it kind of makes you wonder. What else can come through. Yeah, but which I always sage in here before I come out because I don't want to pack. I'm outside in a little building that I built for studio, and I don't want to take anything inside with me. So I've got all my paranormal books and stuff are out here. I won't take them in the house. There's just some stuff in here that my wife won't allow me to bring in. This being.
See, that's the way it is with my husband too. I have to keep. Oh yeah, there's no way that's gonna be in there. But like he's
not allowed in the house.
My stuff separated too, because he's like, yeah, no, you're not bringing anything home, or we'll get a divorce. And so I'm like, okay, we'll separate everything.
And that actually happened to me. We were in Perryville. We were doing a festival there, and we had some shirts and stuff that we were selling, and nobody was really stopping through there. So I busted out some tarot cards, and I sat there and read for some people. And when we came home, 2 days later, our cat ended up at the vet's office. He cost us almost $1,300. Then it was just like a mirage of things happened. Cars breaking down. All of us got sick. It was just like every day something new was going on. And I'm pretty sure something latched onto me there. And we saged and got that thing out of here, and it finally straightened. But I know that's what happened. Something came home with me from down there. That's another place I would recommend here in Kentucky. Is Perryville Battlefield. It's really, really haunted. Was the bloodiest battle, and it was supposedly the bloodiest battle in Kentucky. They said that it was just awful. There's 2 mass graves there. one of Union soldiers and one of Confederate soldiers. It's probably about 1,000 acres, but there's a road you can drive all the way around, and there's different little places there they've got set up that you can stop. Um, but it was a good investigation, really worthwhile. And that one, it's really not that expensive either. I think it was $50 a person, maybe,
Oh,
and
that's
you
not
get it. No, you get it from 8 o'clock at night until 8 the next morning, so you're there 12 hours. And it was pretty good investigation.
I wrote it down.
I was gonna say, really the only battlefield that we've been to is
Mississinawa.
yeah.
Yeah.
We actually, Cindy here, she was actually watching one of our lives, and she pulled a screenshot out of one of our lives that actually had a Civil War soldier. You could make him out just plain as day.
Oh, that's so
Wow.
cool.
Yeah, that was at Perryville.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, guys, look over me. I'm just looking through the comments there.
Yeah.
No, you're fine.
But I think our team, we're going to try to hit all the places in Kentucky this winter. And then when spring comes, I'm going to try to get everyone to where we can travel, maybe to Ohio and Indiana, get some other places out of state in. Guys, I am going to have to bring Lydia on. So, do you guys have anything? You guys have anything else you want to hang? You want to hang out, talk with us?
Yeah, definitely.
More than welcome to. Hey, Lydia.
Hey guys. Hey, how are you guys doing?
Awesome.
Good. How are
Lydia?
you?
Good. Sorry, I get a little fidgety before I do a live. I don't know what it is. I just
I
do.
get nervous every time. Where I haven't done a podcast in about a month, I was a nervous wreck when I first sat down in here.
So the last podcast that I did was the Kev Baker show, and Bill Bean was on it because he actually came here with the Holzer files to help me. Okay, so the link would not work. It made me set up a new account to even get into StreamYard. Still didn't work, so they resorted to just calling me on my cell phone. Then my power went out for 30 seconds. Everything. My shredder, when the power came back on, I always put it in off because it's just a habit. I have 2 boys. They're now 20 and 14. But whenever they were little, they would shred whatever they could find. Okay. Just boys. Doesn't matter. Glue, whatever. So I always just got in the habit of putting it in off. Power comes back on. The shredder starts shredding. So something literally had to move it to on, and then just like I don't know what it was shredding because there was nothing in there. So of course Bill's like, all right, we're gonna just clean the energy right now, and then we started on with the podcast. But I don't really know where you want me to start.
We had tried to have you on the podcast once before, I remember, and something happened. We couldn't hear you or something because it crashed out. It crashed 2 or 3 times, it seems like.
Yeah, that's probably a good possibility. Just because, like, I mean, stuff happens around me all the time. If you watched the episode of the Holzer Files, they made me yell about my childhood trauma, which I had buried. Like, I repressed pretty much 95% of my childhood, well, like 98%. I've got like 5% more back now. But they made me yell about my childhood trauma, which was when the 3 cameras, the travel channel crew had on them that were focused on me. First, you see the pull chain to the light start moving on its own. Also that day, they showed up at 5 o'clock. They texted me and they're like, I don't know what's going on. You have no power to your house. None. So the readings that they were getting were like 40 times higher than they had ever seen. And somebody was like, oh, she has an electrical issue. Okay, maybe if the power had been on, but it just was not on. Like there was no power to my entire house. I had to call the electric company the next day. They had actually accidentally turned mine off instead of my neighbors, and so they turned it back on, but it was weird. For them to get here, they were leaving Dallas because they went and shot down in around Dallas, Texas, for the case Hans Holzer investigated before. That house looks identical to the house I grew up in Missouri.
Oh, wow.
Like, it's creepy. The concrete pillars next to the like 3 or 4 steps to go in the house. And my dad, whenever I was little, my mom went on vacation, so he enclosed the front porch because he had turned the attic into our basement or our bedrooms because there were 6 kids in my family. So it was an old house, and he just decided, okay. And my mom was like super mad that he enclosed the front porch, and he's like, the kids have to go out there. They're going to get pneumonia. So he enclosed it while she was on vacation. She came back so pissed about that. But there is photos of the house before he enclosed it, and it had those same exact brick pillars on the side of the concrete stairs that went up, brick pillars at both corners. I mean, it was eerie. Like, that was the first thing that freaked me out watching my own episode, because even though I lived through it, like, people here in Missouri made me think I was going crazy. Like, the paranormal doesn't exist. Like, you're just imagining it. Pray about it. And I'm like, I'm getting 3 burning scratches. I woke up one time where like a section of my back was burnt. Just like the middle part of my back. I was waking up with bruises. I lost at least 30 pounds in 30 days. Like, you could see my collarbone. Like, this thing was just basically eating me alive while I slept. Then there was a day I was on the phone and I was joking with somebody about something totally unrelated, just to like take my mind out. It ripped my cabinet door off and threw it across the room like 7 feet. My kids would not use their front bathroom. They said it felt like somebody was watching them. It was creepy to them, which is also the bathroom where they set the recorder down and got the responses. I had an attachment. I'd had it since I was really little. It tried to kill me multiple times. So then it's weird to watch Cindy say, oh, I think it's coming from Lydia herself. Like, my energy is going to attack myself while I sleep. But it was mainly just because I repressed all this stuff. They made me yell about it. And then they did tell me that I was an empath psychic medium, which is why I felt like I was being stared at while I was home alone. It started towards the end of 2017, and one of the first bruises I got was like a pinky by my right wrist, and then it had all 4 fingers, and then the thumb was on my upper bicep. And it was super light bruise in the morning. And I took a picture of it and I was like, what is going on? Within 8 hours, it had went to the deep purple bruise, like what it would normally take 2 weeks to get to. And like Dave Schrader tried to spread his hand out and like try and recreate where the fingers were on my arm. based on the picture. And he's like, I can't even get my hands to spread out that far. So then it was just like me learning how, like just learning my abilities on my own. So it was pretty crazy. I've learned how to block other people's emotions. So somebody made a comment that just flashed up. So as an empath, you can put yourself in a white bubble of protection. So Stephanie, just picture like the brightest, whitest, most peaceful, loving light, and it surrounds you completely. And it just puts you in a bubble. And so whenever you go out, picture that around you, and then it's deflecting off any negativity that tries to come to you. You can also picture where you have like a circle of mirrors around you that deflects negativity back to whoever's sending it to you as well. But like, so as a kid, we had a pond out behind our house because I lived on a farm. There was a time where I was swimming. Something told me to get out of the water. I get back to shore. I look back and up pops a water moccasin. Then I was on vacation with my grandparents. We left 1 week before I turned 16. We drove out to Oregon. I turned 16 there and we were coming back. But on the way out there, we stopped at a rest stop in Nebraska. There's all these signs that say, watch out for rattlesnakes. My grandpa, there's no rattlesnakes. It's too far north. Grandma, why don't you guys walk up that hill on this convenient little brick path? My sister's joking around. If I see a rattlesnake, I'm going to scream, push you at it, and I'm going to run away. That's what older sisters do, right?
Yep.
So she does this weird scream. I think she's totally joking because she was on the outside. No, I round the corner and I'm like face to face with a rattlesnake curled up. It was not a little baby rattlesnake. No, this thing was huge. If it wanted to strike, it could have struck and it would have got me. I was 16 and mowing between old cars that we had. And my dad like does the farmer whistle you can hear 2 miles away. And I'm like, what? Like I'm mowing, like doing what I'm supposed to be doing. What's wrong? He doesn't really say anything. I go back to mowing, and then I went to go back between the cars, and my dad like whistles again, and I turn around and I'm like, what? Like I'm mowing. What's the deal? And then because I wasn't going all the way down between the cars because I was afraid of snakes. Mm-hmm. Clearly, after my previous experiences, because those were both poisonous, I would have died. Hospital's 40 minutes away. Little tiny town in Missouri. Okay. And then I start to go back between the cars. My dad comes up, yanks me backwards, and I'm like, what the hell? And he's like, do you not see that black widow? Like, it would have literally been right here. So, like, if I would have walked into that bad boy, like, that's it. I wouldn't have made it. Like, I got shoved down an entire flight of stairs at a 4th of July party when I was 6. I was blacked out at the bottom of the stairs. My mom goes to leave with 5 kids in the car. My dad asked her, like, what are you doing? We brought 6 kids. Disclaimer, my mom swears this never happens. My grandparents remember this happening because I went to her mom's house and she took care of me for several weeks to make sure I didn't have any memory loss or like needed to go to the hospital. I should have went to the hospital that night, but I remember floating outside of my body, watching my dad carry me up the stairs. He had found me after 2 hours of searching for me, after everybody had pretty much left. So there was my 3 older siblings. My mom was watching my 2 younger siblings, my dad, the 2 homeowners, and like 3 to 5 other adults. That's vaguely what I remember. And it took them 2 hours to find me. And my dad found me at the bottom of the stairs with my head at the bottom of the stairs, my body laid out straight, and my hands folded like somebody in a coffin. And I remember him carrying me up the stairs, and then he's like tapping me on the face, like, open your eyes, you got to keep your eyes open. And as I just kept like passing out and then floating over my body. Then there was like, I got rear-ended by a drunk driver. We were stopped in traffic, got hit by a semi. Like, just all this crazy stuff where I should have died like 1,000 times.
Now,
So
do you think that's the attachment that you have that was following you around back then?
I'm pretty sure it was, because one of the things that they got was that it attached to me whenever I was really, really young. And it did also, when they asked, like, have you tried to kill Lydia before? It said yes. Like, yep, tried to kill her multiple times. Didn't work. I'm still here. So I know that there are multiple guardian angels who are, like, just kept me alive. Because, I mean, some of the stuff that I went through, I know I should have died multiple times. And yet I would come out with pretty much no injuries, or just go to grandma's for a couple months and then I'd be fine.
Stephanie there, I'm actually trying to help her right now, and I'm getting ready to go sage her house probably this Saturday. I was actually going to call and check and see if it was okay tomorrow. But her neighbor go ahead, Lydia.
Do you have any charcoal? They're like round charcoal discs that you can put incense on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So for some reason, like, I'm being told that you need to use the charcoal discs, and you need to use dragon's blood along with frankincense and myrrh.
Yeah. And I've got every one of those things.
Instead of the sage, use the charcoal and those incenses for her house.
Yeah, she lives in an apartment building, and the neighbor had got to playing with a Ouija board, and they think maybe he opened up something there, and then they have a picture. She's been seeing a man that's outside her apartment, kind of standing off to the weeds. And I know for a fact that someone overdosed in almost that exact spot, probably 21, 22 years ago. And she's seeing what looks like a cowboy standing over there. And the county that we're in here, they recently started building a new elementary school on some land that
no
one really, yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if they dug into something. And then right across the road, our county is building a new public library. And I know for a fact there's a cemetery on that plot of land. So I don't know if maybe they disturbed something there, or if they've disturbed something where the school was. But all this started happening to her about the middle of last summer. And it's just, that's about the time they started with the construction.
Does her closet like back up to the wall that is shared with the other apartment?
Let's see what she says here. I think it does, but let's see. Because those doors are portals. I mean, yeah, it does.
Okay. That's what, like, it came through that closet. So while you're there, also, if you have black salt, I would put that down at where that is, and a piece of tourmaline as well. And then have her put a piece of black tourmaline by her front door. And then there's another room that is alongside that same wall. So like in each corner, for her apartment that matches up to their apartment, put a piece of black tourmaline, and basically like in a line down the side of her apartment that matches up. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. I was going to do it. That's exactly what I was planning on doing, is making a crystal grid there. I was going to go to each corner of the apartment, starting with the wall that faces the other apartment. And I was just going to do a square all the way around, and then I was going to use black tourmaline in the corners. And then I was also going to put some iron in the corners to kind of make a protection grid there.
Yeah.
And then I have frankincense and myrrh, and I've got dragon's blood too. So I was actually, that's what I was going to use there, is the dragon's blood. So, because I know that kind of protects your property as well.
Yeah, they say to do that, or like what I'm hearing is to do that instead of sage.
Yeah.
Because, like, I don't know, there's something with the guy that almost overdosed of where, like, the smell of sage is going to remind him of, like, the smell of pot, which is going to attract him. Which is why they're saying to use the charcoal discs with the other stuff. Your youngest sees stuff. Stephanie.
Yeah, this thing has actually showed itself to the youngest in a dream, and told him that it was the devil and it wanted to play with him. So it's scary.
It can be terrifying, because I was in my 30s, mid 30s, and I was having the crap scared out of me, because I'm like, I don't understand where these bruises are coming from. Like, I'm not sleepwalking. The only people in my house at that time was me and my youngest son. So I know that there was a YouTube where it was talked about how they had to determine if this was from an abusive relationship or not. Most of the time that I had stuff going on, I wasn't even in a relationship. So that wasn't the case. I really don't know what to do about that YouTube thing. Okay.
See, I think
so,
that's to do with whatever's there.
It is. And so you can also go to Bill Bean does a YouTube, and at the end of his YouTube videos, he always does the same spiritual deliverance / exorcism prayer that he did on me in the church, which was where they did my reveal. And I, like, when they messaged me the address, I'm like, are you guys going to do an exorcism? No, it's just a place for us to film. And then they did an exorcism just to make sure that everything. Yeah. But I was like, I know you're lying to me. And they still lied to me. But I had also, like, I mean, there was like 60 people outside my house for the camera crew that was here. And I kept seeing Bill Bean. It was like there was a beam of light on him wherever he went. And I kept asking Aaron, the producer I had talked to, like, who is that? And he's like, oh, it's just another producer. Nobody to worry about. And I'm like, no, it's not. And then it wasn't until the last day, because they wouldn't let me talk to him. And anytime I tried to go over that way, they would like just turn me around and tell me, oh, we need you to sit in the car for a minute, which was while I'm sitting in the car, it was like there was something sitting next to me saying, like, if you go inside, you're going to get somebody else hurt. Like, you've brought these people here and now we're going to hurt somebody, which of course made me feel horrible because I'm like, I don't want anybody to get hurt just trying to help me. So it was not fun. And they said they would help me learn my gifts. I got like 2 emails or messages after they investigated, and one of them was the day that they actually, my episode was airing, and they wanted me to live tweet on Twitter, and then they're like, oh yeah, we've kept in contact with her, she's doing great. And I'm like, you emailed me an hour ago. I don't know. I'm like, that's not really transparent. You guys didn't help me. You made me yell about trauma, and then you left me to deal with it on my own. So that's why I helped a person who was now a previous friend do investigations in Louisiana, and I would help. Yeah, Stephanie, if you want to add me, that's fine. Just send me a DM or friends request, and I will help any way I can. But like, I would just hear somebody's voice, and then I can see like all sorts of stuff about him. Like, I was telling one of the investigations he did, like where the guy, like what he did as his work, where his attachment came from, who caused it, that they had used like black magic, Santeria, and voodoo all together. And I was like, where's your old work boots? And he's like, my old work boots. And I'm like, yeah, like there's a thing about a side job. The guy feels like you didn't pay him enough. And like, this is where it all started. But he kept telling you to replace his boots. And the guy's wife was like, oh my God, I remember that. And they said they're out in the garage. And I was like, do not touch those boots no matter what you do. And then after we got off the call, I told my friend, when you go to investigate, you need to get those boots because there's something underneath the insoles. And when he went out there, yeah, they had put like cursed bone fragments in there.
Oh, wow.
Like it was a whole wild case. There was like multiple objects that I told him where they were in the house. I had said something about the fireplace, and then Eric said he needs to check for scratches. And sure enough, underneath where the logs were burnt, when the friend moved the ashes, there was like 4, I think it was like 4 sets of 3 scratches that were down into the brick, like super deep in there. And it was wild. We ended up calling, I messaged Bill Bean, and it was like 6 o'clock in the morning Eastern Standard Time. And he was like, yeah, like if you just want a conference, call me, like call them, call me. And he did the prayers over them for the house, the property, all of that. And then they said they felt better. Then for some reason, the husband decided to go out and start doing drugs again. And then telling his wife, you have the attachment now, you have the attachment now. Which, first of all, you're like, we just got you out of this. Now you're bringing it back in, and now you're accusing your wife of having this attachment. Like, you're basically calling these things back to you. And I don't know. I helped on several cases. Then he moved, and then that's a whole nother story. And we're just not
See-
friends anymore. So
One of the things that bothers me about Stephanie's place is this thing. She has a pot that she puts on her stove, and she puts cinnamon in there for the smell as kind of an air freshener. And she had put her kids on the school bus. She was home alone.
it
Went and
set
laid
it on
back down.
fire, didn't it?
Yeah, it turned the stove on, and she started smelling the cinnamon cooking. Is the only reason that she woke up. So
Yeah, it was planning on burning her apartment down.
and that's kind of what I got from that too, because I mean, why else? No one was there to turn the stove on. It had to be whatever was there. And Josh and Megan, that's one of the things. If you ever start doing home investigations,
Mhm.
it's a totally different animal, because there's so much different stuff that goes on in those, and it's just it's a totally different atmosphere, because you got people that are sitting there looking at you scared to death, needing your help.
Right.
And that's actually one of the reasons that I got into the paranormal, is to actually help people. I mean, I love going to the big name places, don't get me wrong, but when you can help someone get closure, it makes it worthwhile. I mean, it really does.
Well, that, and so the negative entities feed off of fear. And
Yep.
I think it's Aisha Norris. No, it wasn't the drugs, because there were videos, because they had security cameras up, of where it grabbed their toddler and yanked it out of bed. Like, you could literally see this black figure pick the kid's leg up and yank him out of the bed, and his parents realized he was going down the bed and like grabbed him by the armpits and were trying to pull him back up. And I mean, you cannot fake that. It was like, I could feel how scared everybody was. And then there was the bruise where that black mass had a hold of the kid's foot. But there was also, they had twins, and above the twins, one of the cameras caught this weird purplish light that was coming out of the ceiling and messing with one of the twins, but not so much the other. And I want to say they were like 2 when we did that investigation. But anytime that kids or pets are getting hurt, like I can't just not help. I did help a team that was in the UK for about a week, until I realized that they were just all toxic. But they had said, there's a case, only like 3 of them were going to be on it. And I described the little girl that was being bothered. I described the layout of their house. I described the little girl's room, and like where her bed was, where her dresser was. And I was like, how many times have the parents caught her like walking down the stairs, and it looks like she's holding onto somebody's hand, because there's a lady trying to lead her out of the house, which there was a big yard. There was a fence for a part of it, but a river was there too.
Yep.
And I'm like, there's something about this river, like this lady, I don't know if she drowned in that river, but she's trying to steal the little girl and kidnap her. And then like walking down the hall into the kitchen, I was like, do you have that funhouse effect of where like you
Like the mirrors,
Where to go?
where it's like the room is moving.
yeah. And I'm like, sometimes it feels like you lose 5 minutes just walking down your hall and into the doorway. But that doorway was where there was the funhouse effect that these people were feeling. And then they were like, oh, okay, so, well, obviously you're going to be on the case now because we haven't told you anything other than there's a case. And you have told us all about the family, what their property looks like. I've never even been to England. Like, there's no way that I would know what any part of that looks like. But I don't know. I've just described so much stuff to people, and like even my oldest son's dad, he said, I don't know, I think there's weird about my house. I didn't know where he lived at all because we don't talk like that. Like, I don't even see him. I haven't seen him for a long time. But I was able to draw a picture of his house where the front door was, where the side door was, every room in there. And then I was like, there's this one place that is just like a blurry mass to me. And I was like, I don't know what it is, but it's like in the corner of your room. And he was like, oh, that's our bathroom. And I'm like, well, whatever that is, like, that's where it hides. And at first he was like, no, here's our house. And I was like, if you match up your front door to where I put your front door, it like you can lay them on top of each other and they're exactly the same picture. And then he was like, oh, okay. And I'm like, y'all just need to leave that house because it's only going to go downhill if you stay.
Mm-hmm.
But a couple months after the Holzer Files was here and they told me I had those abilities, like I woke up and knew I could send healing energy. So like my friend who had migraines a lot, like I can send her the energy since I've known her since kindergarten. Like she gets it in 5 minutes, no matter where in the country she is. And her migraines go away. So she's not like in bed for 3 days. I've sent it for a whole bunch of different stuff. Like mainly it's like aches and pains, flu-like symptoms, but I'm still exploring that part of myself to know exactly what all I can heal. But yeah, it just, most of the time it's me hearing somebody's voice and I can just pick up on a lot of stuff that they have going on.
Yeah. I've got another close friend that can do Reiki that way. She can remote do Reiki. And she's actually done it for me. Like I'm very, very prone to getting ear infections. And when I get one, I can call her and she'll tell me to put my hand over my ear and then she does her thing. And usually within an hour, my ear feels better and it's just done for a while. So it amazes me how you guys can do that. I have another friend that's down in Georgia and she's psychic medium. Her and two of her friends have a team that's called the Georgia Peaches, Peach State Paranormal.
Oh,
And,
that's cool. It's super cute.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say when I was on that Paranormal Connections, they were on there with me. Sorry,
Kelly? Was
Yep.
it Kelly? Yeah. Kelly.
It was all three of them.
All three of them were on there?
At one point. Like
They're all
yeah.
they're all really good, but when you get all three of them together, it's like I don't know, it's like they just tune into each other and become one, and they can do some amazing things.
Well, and that's like that's one of the things that I noticed is whenever you get more than one person who's sensitive together, it like amplifies what they can do and what they can see.
Yeah, she's good. All three of them are. And I so want to go down there to the Myrtles plantation, and I would love for them to go when I go, just to see what's there, because that's another one that's just I can remember watching stuff about the Myrtles when I was a kid, and it scared the living crap out of me back then. And I want to go there, and I would love to go to the Winchester House. Those two, I mean, I would be happy if I went to one of them, but if I could go to both, yeah.
So another place you need to put on your bucket list is the USS Alabama that is outside Biloxi, Mississippi. I think. I'd have to double check exactly. So we went on vacation. We took my son like 2 or 3 years ago to the beach for the first time. So we drove over, down, hit as many states as possible just to say he'd been in that state. Went to South Carolina and then came back. Like for Ohio, we went across the river, took a picture of the sign, did a U-turn, and came back across the river. But that was one of the things my grandparents did with us when I was growing up and we went to Oregon. We took pictures of all the state signs. So when we came back, Eric was like, oh, that's really sweet. Like, let's check that out. So we take a picture, we go in, we pay, we get inside. I have him pull over. I take a picture of Chase next to this huge anchor. And then we go to the first memorial. I was there like 5 minutes because it was early in the morning. I wasn't prepared. I didn't have any shields up. I got so sick that I was like, drive me to the gift shop right now. Like, wherever the bathrooms are, you better get me there like now. And I was in there for like 30 minutes, sick as a dog. And then I went and I got back in the car. And then there was a Sherman tank, and Eric was like, you have to see this. So I was like, okay. And I kind of mentally prepared myself, put up a little bit of shielding, get out the car, go over to the tank where you could see where it had been hit by different bullets.
Mm-hmm.
And then it starts pouring down rain. So because I'm 5 foot tall, I just like crawl underneath the back of the Sherman tank. While Eric went to go find an umbrella, because I'm like, dude, what just happened? Like, I mean, just humongous storm out of nowhere. But while he was looking for the umbrella in the car, I touched the tank, and they were able to show me, like, they took me back to World War II, and then being in that tank, and every time it hit them, what it felt like. And I told a lot of the soldiers that were there, like, the war's over, we won, you can go home. And then I went back and looked at pictures, and I'm pretty sure the first memorial that we stopped at was Vietnam, which is where my dad got drafted into, has mentioned it 4 times in the 43 years I've been alive. Was mad when in 6th grade the pilot brought the helicopter to school and was like, what's your name? And I'm looking at everybody else. And he's like, no, you, looking at everybody else. And I'm like, I didn't do it. And he's like, no, you're definitely a bellboy's child. Which bellboy is it? You know, and like he knew all my uncles, and I was like, Terry Bell? And he goes, your dad sat right behind me as a helicopter gunner. And I was like, I don't think we're talking about the same person. Because, we knew he was in the Army because he had his jacket, he had the duffel bag, you know, like the green one, but he never.
Where'd she go?
I have no idea. But like now I'm like invested in the story and it's gone.
Yeah, I know. I know. Hopefully she pops back in. She said she was having problems out of her phone though, so I mean there's no telling. I know last time I tried to have her on the show, it was just problem on top of problem on top of problem. First, her audio wouldn't work at all. Then her phone kept freezing up. Then the whole program started kicking her out, freezing up. So I don't think she was supposed to be here. I don't think she was supposed to be here that time.
But not that I have actually done a real in-home investigation necessarily. My best friend, her daughter moved into an apartment, and the way that this house is set up, there's a lot of outside doors, and so she has an outside door in her bedroom, which also her bedroom door has a lock, so you can't get through either way, right? Well, she had her bedroom door locked, and she was home alone. She was laying in bed, and the next thing she knows, the door opens, and she knows that she locked it. It was still locked when it was open, so she was like, "Oh my gosh!" And so, I actually got a call the same night that happened. It was like, "You need to be here immediately." And so then next day or a couple of days later, I showed up at her house and I did a cleansing of her house. But before I did it, I was like, do we at least want to know who and what's going on? And her dad was like, absolutely. Let's do all of the things. Like, let's do a full investigation. And I was like, and her mom and her were both like, no, we just kind of like, we would like to know what's going on, but like, we don't want the full thing. We don't want it to like blow up big. So I just used my dowsing rods and went around to the different rooms in the house. And I was like, we had heard that the bed in the bedroom, like the master bedroom, had to be a certain way in the room. And also they had it a different way in the room, and the boyfriend received scratches on his back. And so I was using my dowsing rods and I was asking, I was like, I mean, do you have a specific way that you want the bed? And so like asking all the questions. There was 7 spirits there. 3 of them were men. It was 3 men and 4 women that were in the house. And I went and saged the house. I was like, I need you guys to stay in your respective areas, because they were very clear that they like to be in the basement and the upstairs, and neither where they like to go. So I was like, okay, so you guys stay in your spots. The like living space is for the living, and I need you to stay in your respective areas. And relatively everything has been good, except for they moved the bed again while cleaning, and they had an episode. So I'm going to go back over there and work with them some more. But like, I was kind of one of those things that I was like, well, you knew you shouldn't have moved the bed. So
Yeah.
it's definitely not something I do regularly until I feel comfortable enough.
Yeah. A lot of times, that's all it takes too. If you've got something going on, a lot of times you can just go in and tell it, said, this is my home now. You stay away from me, leave the living for the living. And a lot of times stuff will slow down and actually stop. I've seen it actually full on stop before. So, I mean, ghosts were people once upon a time. I mean, you go in screaming, cussing, or like some of the TV shows we watch, you're going to get bad results. But you approach them like a person. I mean, a lot of times that helps. Because, a lot of times some of them are just trapped in their death state. They don't know what happened to them. They just know that no one's listening to them and they can't get through. And I feel like that's where a lot of your scratches and noises and stuff come from. They're just trying to get your attention, and they just kind of overdo it sometimes, and you end up with scratches or stuff broken or knocked over, and they don't realize what they're doing.
Right. I got scratches at Randolph County, and I was trying to like not make a big deal about it, because I firmly believe that scratches are not anything like demonic or anything of that sort. Could they be? Yeah, but more often than not, that's not the case. And so
Yeah.
I like looked at Josh and I was like, just check my neck. And then I was told that I had 2 attachments and the spirits at Randolph didn't necessarily like my attachments, but then like my attachments weren't really I was real confused. It didn't really make sense a whole lot. And so not that it wasn't true, it didn't make sense to me. Like I didn't know how to put the pieces together. So like I understand it, like Lydia, I don't ever want to like come off that I like don't believe in everything that you're saying. It's just one of those things that I'm like, I don't understand how all the pieces fit. So like if I don't understand, like I don't
Okay. Okay. I totally get what you're saying. So not all scratches are demonic, but when you have 3 scratches that are like burning, I mean, it feels like something has like a lighter to your back scratches in 3s. Those are demonic, as they're like trying to make fun of the Holy Trinity. And so but it will be like you're on fire, burning scratches in sets of 3s.
I don't think mine was 3, was it?
And
that's
it
what
wasn't.
So another thing that happened was I was a kid, and I've always remembered this, of where I was in my bed and I woke up and I saw 3 black human figures in the middle of the entire upstairs, which ran from one side of our house to the other. And I went under the covers, which I'm horrified. I still do not put my face under the covers because I'm afraid of suffocating. But I went under the covers just praying that whatever it was went away. But there were 3 figures that were in the middle of my room, which would have been like the windows on the opposite side of the room. And I still have no idea what that was. But I somehow sent that memory to Dave as a dream. And he dreamed it for 7 nights and then came to our house. But like, so when they were in Dallas, I think I kind of like skipped over this. When they were in Dallas, almost everybody was kicked off their first flight. So only like a handful of people got to even catch their original flight. And then they get to here, to the airport that's like right in the town. First, they have to circle forever because there is suddenly this thunderstorm. Then they get their rental car. They're all from LA. It is a torrential downpour. They don't even know how to drive in this much water. It flooded my entire yard. So everywhere that they had planned to set up home base, suddenly they couldn't do it. They had to rent a box truck for their speakers, or like for all their technology stuff that they had outside. The second set of people got a different flight that first went to Chicago, where they had a 6-hour layover, and then into Columbia. The ones that first came to Columbia went to the hotel, where they turn on the TV and it's automatically the Weather Channel telling them, oh, there's a tornado, watch out. They called me up like, how often do you guys get tornadoes here? Is this just like a keep your head up and watch out? Or is this like, you got an 80% chance that there's going to be a tornado sweep through the area while we're here? I mean, they were super freaked out because it was like one thing after another for them to even get here. And like it was super wild. And the weekend before that, my ex had sent a bunch of text messages, then threatened to kill me. Like, oh yeah, like it was major. SWAT came to my house on like Saturday at like 1:00 in the morning, because I called 911 from an old phone so that they could record when he called my cell phone, where he said, like, I'm coming to kill you. I'm going to kick in your front door. I don't care if your kids are there or not. They're going to watch. If you call the cops, I'm going to torture you till they get there. Like, it was massive chaos. We started filming May 1st. That was Wednesday. So the text message started at like 10 a.m. Friday morning, continued all day. I sent my kids everywhere else because I'm like, no, I don't care if this is real or not. I'm taking this as real. And then as he just continued more and more throughout the night or throughout the afternoon into the evening, then I was like, okay, he's coming. Like, I don't know, but I was like, I'm calling. Like, I can't take this anymore. Like, we broke up in January. I don't understand what's happening. Like, and he's like, what hotel are you staying at? And I'm like, I don't even know. Like, I cannot tell you what hotel they're putting me in because I don't know. And I did not find out what hotel till 10:00, May 1st. But yeah, like, SWAT was here. They drove me to an undisclosed location to fill out forms for an ex parte that was granted at like 2:30 in the morning by a judge that they woke up. So they pinged his phone, went to his apartment. Like, it was a mess. Then they were like, okay, do we need to go back to your house for anything? Once I knew that I was safe and in the cop's car, like, I'm like, okay, so, I'm bringing narcotics in the cop's car because I have meds from my back surgery that had happened like a year before. And he's like, yes, I know that you're on meds. Like, get in the car. And then I was like, can we play Super Troopers? Like, can I turn on the siren? And the cop's like, how can you joke about this? And I'm like, I'm safe. I'm not at my house. He can't get me. He doesn't know where I'm at. Like, we're driving away from there. Like, I can either cry or find something to laugh about. So, like, I'm choosing to laugh about this right now. But he was like, how did you even get hooked up with this old man? And I'm like, the dude is like 5 years older than me. And he's like, you look so young though. And I'm like, you had my driver's license. I mean, like, now I'm like 43. That was 2019. So I was like 38. But I'm like, you're talking like this guy's like 20 years older than me. He's only like 5 years older than me. But yeah, it was an entire mess for them to even make it here to record. And it was wild. The whole thing.
That's what
I mean, like,
that's what I was telling them while your phone was kicking on and off. It's almost like it's almost like something doesn't want you to tell your story.
Yeah.
Because that happened the last time you were on the podcast, and then it's happened this time. So, and then with the Holzer files, with all that going on, something doesn't want you getting your story out.
Well, right. And whenever I was talking on the Holzer files, at one point Dave said, do you feel anything here? And I was like, it's by my kitchen sink, but I'm like trying to ignore it. And he was like, do you guys see, like, he turns to the camera guys and he's like, do you see what I'm seeing? And they're like, yeah. And they said, and I'm like, what are you guys talking about? And he goes, well, how do you feel? And I was like, I feel like my throat is hot, but like, I don't know. And they had me like go like this and yet like my entire throat was red, and it like just in the middle of our whole interview, they're like, you haven't touched your neck. Your neck is bright red. Like, we're just going to take a little break. Like, go outside for a couple minutes. We'll come back in. And then, like, 3 minutes later, my neck was back to perfectly fine. But it had turned like bright red across my entire neck. And I think it really freaked them out because they're like, what is going on? And Cindy wasn't here for that part. And then when she did come, like they had called me to come back and investigate with them, which was whenever there was absolutely no power here. But like Dave walked towards me at one point. He wasn't even close to me. There was like 6 feet from me, but he had turned to walk towards me, and the temperature dropped to 66.6 degrees. And then like the EMF like shot up to like almost 800. Like it was wild. And they had also captured, when we first came in, David picked up the SLS. He got a small figure jumping on the couch, jumping on my coffee table, hiding behind the camera guys, and then he got 2 tall figures standing by my refrigerator, which I'm pretty sure were my grandparents, just kind of overseeing everything. But it was wild what all happened while they were here. And like at one point they had me take off my bracelet because I was like kind of nervous, shaking. And so then they slide over this folder of pictures that I had been taking of like bruises and scratches. And I just put my hand on there because before, like, my arm was kind of nervously twitching. So my bracelet was hitting the table. So then instead it was hitting this stack of pictures that they had printed out. But yeah, like it was not good. But my grandma passed away. She came and talked to me like right after she died, gave me a hug. Like I could feel her set on the bed. I could feel her arms around me. She told me, I'm sorry I couldn't explain it to you sooner. And like, I'm going to protect you until you can get somebody here to help you. And like, I didn't understand what she was talking about. And then it was later, and it was how basically she was, because she had gotten Alzheimer's and dementia, she was telling me like, sorry, I didn't train you on your gifts. Like, whoops. But like, we'll get somebody there. And so it's pretty wild. But like my oldest son dreams stuff 3 to 4 days before it happens. And I think my youngest son saw something when he was 2, and so he stopped talking for a year, and we had to teach him how to re-talk. But yeah, it's been a pretty wild ride, and like I've warned a lot of people about stuff. I've told people about their houses, what's there, what it looks like, and this is like states away. Like I should not even know anything about, like, I don't even know half these people's names. You know, like when I was helping my friend on investigations, he would just say, there's a client. I would hear their voice and I would just start rattling stuff off. So, yeah, there's so many different levels.
Yeah, it amazes me. I wish I could do that, but I'm not quite there.
Well, it's kind of a blessing and a curse because you don't really know what you're going to get. There's some people who just want to say, like, you're not real, this is fake, like, you just made that up. And then I mean, like, I can pass a message on to them. It's up to them if they believe it or not. It's up to them if they take the warning of, like, don't get on this road, you're going to get in a wreck. One lady at the DMV thought, like, she talked to everybody at the DMV, called her sister. Her sister almost had her convinced that I told her to take side roads because I was going to kidnap her. And I'm like, I just renewed my plates to my vehicle. Like, you have my address, like, you have my driver's license, you have all my information. Like, this is insane. But there's a lot of states where they just do not believe in any paranormal activity at all. They can watch stuff happen and they're like, oh, you have a fishing line attached to that. And it's like, no. And then there was also the mystery recording that came up on my phone. And I only found it because I was moving pictures from my phone to an SD card. And it came up as an unknown folder. And then you clicked on that. And then it was unknown folder. And you clicked on that. And then there was an audio clip. And it was unknown. And then it just had the date and time. Where normally any picture that you take has like a 10-digit number assigned to it, and then the date and time. And that was weird. Like, played one way, it said, like, leave her alone with us in a hiss, and played the other way, it was, she'll leave with us in a hiss at the end. And that was really, really freaky. And it sounded so, like, ominous. So,
See, where I'm at here in Kentucky, I'm right smack in the middle of the Bible Belt. Like, I
yep.
could literally throw a rock and hit a church right now. And there's so much of a stigma with the paranormal here.
Oh,
I mean, I know it's happening, but no one wants to talk about it because they're afraid Joan or Dave from church will find out, and then they're worshiping the devil or doing witchcraft or something. So they just don't talk about it. So people around here, they don't.
Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, like, that's how it is here too. Like, there's so many churches, and preachers looked at me like I was losing my mind. One of my sisters, she's not on Facebook, but she was like, whenever I told her what they told me, because like 1 Corinthians talks about gifts that are given, she said, Lydia, we've talked about it, and we feel like you need to go for like a 72-hour psychiatric hold, and we think that you have a lot of mental problems. And I'm like, really? Okay, yeah, you did. But I just ignore them. Like, she's mad. Okay, what's new?
It's actually really funny that we're talking about all of this, right? So I grew up in a very, very Christian home.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you that my dad would not approve of what I'm doing. But my mom definitely doesn't approve of it. And every time, so we were actually at Books A Million, and I was getting some books, and my husband, because he knew it would rattle their cage, was like, oh yeah, your daughter's gonna become a witch. And I was like, so upset, because I was like, I know you're just doing it to rattle their cages, like, I know it. And so then my mom is like, don't joke about that. Her new husband, because my dad has passed away, and she was like, Mark worries about that all the time, that she is doing all that evil stuff.
Yep.
And I was like, well, one, I'm a grown ass adult. Just I have a small human of my own. I don't need you to tell me how to live my life. But two, you're not my daddy. If my daddy said it, I'd probably feel a lot differently about it. And third, I was like, realistically, I am a firm believer in research, right? That's
Right. Yeah.
why I got into the paranormal anyway, because like I don't know what's out there. I don't know, like it's all just like trial and error, like finding what works, what doesn't, how's it working, like all of those things, right? And so
Yeah.
what reading these books are is more research to like have more backing to when I'm doing other research. And he was like, "Oh, you're right, Megan. Like that's 100%. Like you can't know if something's evil until you research it." And I was like, "Okay." Like, I mean, cool. I mean, you can. And then my favorite part is I was at dinner with them, and Josh called me, and I was talking to him about it, and they were like, "Oh, is that who you go paranormal investigating with?" And I was like, "Yep." And they were like, "Well, all of the problems that you guys have is because you paranormal investigate."
They're like, you two are in a creepy building at night. What are you really doing?
Yeah, I'm like,
And you're like, it's all on videotape. That's what we're doing. Paranormal.
we're
Yeah, I
sitting
get it.
in a dark room with lights.
Yeah, but they
My dad-
automatically go to, oh, that's who you're cheating with. That's
Yeah,
why you have problems. It's like, no.
Which
Yeah.
is funny because like my husband doesn't question at all because he was like, "No, this dude's like your brother. Like this isn't a thing." But like outsiders are like, and I was like, "Yeah, clearly."
Oh, hi, Peppers. Hi. Yeah, here, get up here.
See, my dad was the same way. He told my kids, he said, "Well, he's going to go to hell because he's going out and doing all this." And my sister finally told him, "Dad, do you not believe in ghosts?" Well, yeah. Well, that's what he's doing. He's trying to find ghosts. Oh, well, it's okay then. Once my sister explained it, it was fine. But when I tried to explain it, yeah, I was worshiping the devil. I was doing witchcraft. I was going to
Yeah.
hell. Yeah.
It's like all the things that are bad in life are because you're doing them.
Yep.
You are
So-
creating that.
So funny.
Oh, go ahead, Lydia.
Okay, funny story. So my dad lives in, oh my God. Can you guys still hear me?
I
Okay.
can hear
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I was like, I can hear you,
All
but
right.
I can't see you.
Yeah, it wanted to open another browser. Okay, so I went to my grandma's house because there's something I need to find. One is she's like, when you find it, you'll know what it is. Two, I have to find the folder that contains all the information about the Bell Cemetery, which is our family cemetery. I played there as a kid. Everybody from our small town thinks it's haunted. I go out there at 2:00 in the morning just to hang out. Yeah, they say that it's creepy. It's not really haunted. If it is, well, you're probably a bad person trying to do something stupid. But it's our family cemetery. Like my dad and his 4 brothers and my grandma all live on the same block. Our block is 5 miles around. There's also the old schoolhouse, which I tried to take a picture of it one night and it had fog surround it. Nowhere else was there fog, only the old schoolhouse. But I had went into my grandparents' bedroom because I was like, Grandma says there's something in here I need to find. And my dad comes in like 30 minutes later and he's like, are you done snooping yet? And I was like, well, first of all, here's a bunch of these belt buckles. And my dad was like, oh, yeah, I remember when Grandpa bought these, which my grandpa died in January of 1990 from emphysema from being in World War II. But he was like, oh, yeah, these are like all keepsakes because it was the first time that this company did the belt buckles. And then he's still giving me a hard time. All of a sudden, we hear this ticking noise. And I'm like, Dad, is that your watch? And he's like, I don't even have a watch on. So we're trying to find out what it is. And it's this, he turns around this old fashioned clock and it's moving. And then, and my dad starts to get really, really freaked out. And I'm like, Dad, what's wrong? Like, it's an old clock. It's working. He turns it back around, takes the back off of it, and it's the old kind where there's the weights on it. And he said, Lydia, this clock has never worked. These
Oh, wow.
weights are not even attached. So physically, this clock cannot work at all. And I'm like, well, that's Grandma telling you, yes, she's really here. And my dad was like, okay, like maybe you do know what you're talking about. You did find letters that are from the early 1800s between like relatives that are back and forth. You did find these belt buckles that are like were the very first limited edition print ones that they had. And now this clock that physically cannot work is working with the weights not even attached. So, like, he's started to believe a little bit more, but he's also pretty skeptical because he was born in like 49. And then there's people who are like, you know stuff about my life, and so you're stalking me. And I'm like, dude, I don't even know where you live right now. And then they're like, try and pull out the Bible about how horrible it is. And I'm like, read First Corinthians, talks about prophetic gifts that are given to people. Like,
Yeah.
if you want to throw the Bible at me, I'm going to throw it right back because these are the things that Bill told me to reassure me that, like, I'm on the right path, I'm doing the right thing, and that it's not like a negative thing that I'm doing. I'm helping other people. That's what I was sent for. So, yeah, when they get on that whole Bible Trump, like, I'm going to Bible beat you down that what you're doing is horrible, just tell them to read First Corinthians.
I was gonna say I just usually walk them off. I mean, because you're never realistically, they're not gonna change my mind. And I'm
Right.
never really gonna change their mind. So like, well, that's cool. You wanna believe that? That's up to you. But like, I choose differently.
Well, it
But I
just
guess
kind of
I
depends. You
live in
know,
with everyone.
it just kind of depends. If it's like family who's like telling me that I'm worshiping Satan and they're gonna throw these Bible quotes at me about how horrible what I'm doing is, then I'm like, no, like I literally tried to warn my grandma she had a problem with her blood. She told me she didn't have a problem with the blood. A week later, she's in the hospital. They can't figure out what's wrong. And like 7, 8 days after she went into the hospital, she had to have a blood transfusion. And then last Friday, she had another blood transfusion and they let her go home because she just wants to go home. And so, like, I remember because I took my son to visit her last Wednesday, and like she held my hand and she's like, I really should have listened to you and had him do more tests. And it was really odd. Like, she's realizing, okay, maybe Lydia does see stuff that not everybody sees. Maybe she knows stuff that not everybody knows. She tried to warn me that there was something wrong with my blood. I didn't listen. Then I'm in the hospital, and now I have had 2 blood transfusions before I can go home. So, but she is older, you know, like 95, I think. So it's coming. we're just not really ready for her to go yet. But at the same time, we know it's going to happen because we don't live forever. But having her kind of be like, okay, so you told me about that. I blew you off. Then I went to the hospital. Then I had a problem with my blood. So maybe I should have listened. I'm really sorry I didn't. But I mean, it was a good conversation to have with her and for her to really like, okay, so maybe you're not crazy like your sister is telling me. I don't know. It just depends on who it is. Some of them I just like leave. I'm like, here's your warning, take it or leave it.
Yeah.
Some of them I pass on the messages, you know, whether they want to believe it or not, that's kind of up to them. But I don't know. Certain family members I will argue with about it. Other ones, I'm like, I don't talk to you anyway. So, like, here's the finger, there's the door. So, it really just depends on who it is.
Guys, we are brushing up against 2 hours. And if we go over, Facebook won't let me re-upload this if I need to. So I'm going to have to shut down.
That's fine.
Thank
I was supposed to be home
Okay.
an hour ago.
Thank all of you guys for being on here. It's been one heck of a night. I've really, really enjoyed talking to you guys. And if you ever want to be back on, just give me a yell. We'll do it again because I really
Yell.
That was
enjoyed it.
awesome.
Yell.
Yep.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, thank
Thanks
you
for having
guys
us.
again for being on.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
And if you need help with Stephanie's case, just holler at me.
I will. Well, thank you guys.
Thanks.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Good night.
Night.
Guys at home, thank you for being here. If you stuck through this whole show, thanks again. I'm going to call it a night, and I will see you probably next Wednesday.